Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the J22 Report. I am your host, Johnnie Market. You all know that drill. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Just a little disclaimer, nothing should be construed as financial investment advice. Just my opinions and thoughts on the market. Let's get into today's stuff. Interesting stuff. If you look at gold, I should have had this up, but don't worry, we'll share. You can go with me. Gold did not have a good day today. I don't know what Kiko's saying because this is actually this is actually potential for after hours trading. So yeah, down 70. We'll just go by GLD. And let's see. GLD. And so yeah, it's down 0.61, down 1.91, almost 2%. It's incorrect. As I said, this is in correction mode. Sideways, the bullish consolidation. If you look at, let's just go to the 5-day. It's up on the 5-day. 1 month, it's up. So it's 6 months. It's actually doing well. If you look at 5-day, it's up 0.33%. It's sort of in a consolidation bullish sideways, 1.3%. Today it was only down 0.61%. So if you actually look at what's the spot, I wish Kiko had a actual like what it closed at and then after hours, but I guess they don't want to do that. So yeah, 3,300, 3,368, close to its all-time high. So as you can tell, sort of consolidation bullish. Platinum's doing really well. I like platinum's cheap because normally it trades at a premium to gold historically. I'm not saying buy or sell or anything, not financial investment advice, just I think it's cheap in terms of that ratio where it's generally, I'm going by memory, 1.8 or 1.9% because it had rare metal status. Traditionally, I know this was I used to sell precious metals, and unlike a lot of them, I actually had to know the history and everything else, like a broker would know on stocks and products. And yeah, platinum had to do a 1.8%. It would trade at 1.8 times the price of gold historically. So if those ratios are true, now I think ratios can be broken and destroyed. Well, if that's true, then platinum's really cheap compared to gold. But palladium was really big. I remember at one point palladium was more expensive than platinum for a while. I remember platinum traditionally is more expensive, but I remember palladium around 2013 or 2014, the physical market got so tight. Uh, and now Russians, yeah, palladium's the Russians and platinum's the South Africans. Sorry, it's just what we had to learn at work. I remember Russia, like things started really heating up in 2014 and 15. So the market really got tight and it was a lot cheaper. So a lot of Cadillac converters started using this. I'm just going by memory. So obviously, until palladium just went up drastically and really left platinum in the dust. But now platinum's above palladium and platinum, I mean, I don't really have an opinion on platinum or palladium. Palladium's not traditionally more expensive than platinum. Platinum's generally tradition has that really rare metal status. And just think of a credit card. They'll have the gold plan and then the platinum plan, because platinum was rarer and more expensive and more prestigious than gold. So that's why they'll say, no, you don't have the gold plan, you have the platinum plan. So that's why I think based on that, but as you can say, as I always say, ratios and things can change. But I think there's sideways. There's one more upswing for gold. I think the deflation and all the bad things are going to eventually kick in next year. Looking at the stock market, it's on crack. The market's on crack, and we're in euphoria. The futures are up. Right now, it's buy the dip, and it looks like it keeps going. Uh, let's keep going. There it is, 6,000, 6,400, 6,500. I remember one time I had a video, it said S&P to 7,000. That might end up being right. I sort of gave up. There was a correction, and it's really made new all-time highs. If you actually look at it, it's just all-time highs right here. Um, I do think we're almost towards the end of this bull market, but just because I think something doesn't mean. But yeah, the stock market, I think for a while, is going to go up. Over the weekend, we're going to see the fear and greed index again. I'm surprised it's not super greed, but I think the market's on crack. But let's go into data because the economy is not doing all that well. The leading index, I've been saying this for a while. The leading index, it's not all that great because it's heavily skewed towards manufacturing, which we aren't. It's negative, and generally it is negative. So Richmond manufacturing, that keeps declining. So the real economy with good paying jobs, that's just going to be worse and worse. As you can tell, I said manufacturing is not coming back to the US, and I don't mean it in a negative way. It's just, it's not. You have to crash the stock market, the equity market, and the housing markets, and Americans won't do that. Now that's going to happen, but it's just not happening yet. But manufacturing index down. Look at this. Existing home sales down 2.7%, way less than expected. Horrible number. So you can tell the American consumer is weak. It's tapped out. It can't even buy homes, which is what they ultimately want. There's infinite, they say there's not much demand. There's infinite demand. Tons of people who don't have homes wish they had homes. They would love to have homes. They don't want to live uh, with, they don't want to live with their parents. They don't want to rent. They want to own their own home. The demand is astronomically. The problem is there's no good jobs. That's the problem. Building permits, that's down 1% month over month. Chicago Fed national activity. Now they said it was great because it revised upwardly from last May, but it's still negative. Look at this. This is so funny. Rose point from a revised 0.16. So it's like, yeah, I got punched in the stomach and the face, but it turns out it was really just punched in the stomach. Well, yeah, it still stinks. So it was just from like a lower negative number. Now this is actually S&P Global Composite PMI. That's 54. That's a strong number. That's new home sales, way less than expected, 0.62 instead of 0.65, but way less than expected. Really, and this is the middle of moving season. This is peak moving season, so it's going to get worse. Kansas City Fed composite, and look at that, manufacturing is declining. So if you look at it, tomorrow we have durable goods. It's not much, but if you look at the data wasn't really strong. So what is this? This is obviously a bubble. Where is it going to go? I don't know. It could go to 7,000, maybe even more. I think this is the last year. A lot of this is they're so hyper focused on tariffs that once these trade deals with the EU and Japan come, it might be someone to buy the rumor, sell the news, and then after all this, it comes down. But let me see. Look at this, canceled factory plans, layoffs. Look at this Intel. This just shows how bad the economy is. Intel beats on revenue, plans to cut 15% of the workforce, cancels factory plants. Now, are they going to bring in visa workers or? But this isn't bad. They're canceling factory plants, so this can't be good. And not only that, these people, their 401ks and all that, they're not going to be contributing. Uh, but yeah, there's a lot of layoffs, and this will eventually catch up. I'm trying to see. Canceled projects in Germany and Poland and is slowing facilities. Why would you cancel in Poland? Yeah, in Germany, that's absolutely insane. And slowing in Ohio. Uh, so I'm trying to figure out where. So there are layoffs, but they're not as many American. But there are places in Ohio with this Intel layoff. So I just thought that was interesting. That caught my eye. So this is one thing. I think I read somewhere Bitcoin could go to 200,000. I think Bitcoin, like the stock, when I say the stock market, I mean Bitcoin. This is euphoria, and you can tell Michael Saylor amps up Bitcoin war chest with 2.8 billion sale. Oh, it's preferred stock. Nine annual percent payout of 9% with no end date. This is going to be so he's raising as much money as possible to acquire Bitcoin. See, all these buyers, like Michael Saylor, they're going to turn into sellers and they're going to dump these onto the market. And that's when Bitcoin 3000 is going to come. So there it is. So yeah, all these companies which are dumb, but to show what type of euphoria we're in, look at this. Nasdaq 100 is not seen streak only during the dot-com bubble. And I think like what happened with dot-com bubble, like pets.com and everything, I think there will be bankruptcies like this. Trading above its 20-day moving average for 21 straight days. Longest streak since 2000 dot-com bubble. So yeah, there you go. This is all euphoria right now. And this is another interesting thing about stock market euphoria, reaches dot-com bubble. Same thing, flashing signs of a classic late melt up, often irrational surge in asset prices, which you can tell we're not having much of an economic expansion. So all these things are not doing well. They were talking about the fear and greed index, which uh, I think there's a lot of FOMO too, fear of missing out. I think eventually that's going to come to gold and silver. Look at this plant here, 441%. I wonder what the politicians are doing. Those I think would be like a very of course they never disclose when they're actually selling. So if you look at its extreme positioning, record leverage, and growing disconnect between valuations and fundamentals. So you can see a lot of that. Parallels to dot-com era are no longer subtle. They're serious and accelerating. So you don't know. So S&P could go to 7,000. It could do more. I don't know. Gold, I think, is in the midway. But here's the other thing, another reason. US corporate executives are extremely bearish. Well, insiders dumping their stocks at record place. And of course they are. They're going to be bearish was they're looking at their inner workings of their company every day and they see their bad financial statements and you can tell saw more buying than selling, lowest share on record. Only 11% of recent insider activity saw more buying than selling. That means insiders are selling more than they were buying in almost 90% of the companies. So, so yeah, this is the euphoric year. This is the euphoric year in stocks, it seems like. Who knows where it'll end? Gold still in correction, still in that area. I think it's sideways, and then one more. It's going to be a parabolic. It'll be gold's turn for. So anyway, that's all. Remember, financial disclaimer, not to be construed as financial investment advice. Seek a professional if you do want to invest, and do your own research. And that's all. I'll see you next video.